Welcome, everybody. My name is Rafael Gomez. Welcome to Heroes Rising, a summit that EA and myself, that's a tongue twister, EA and myself have put together to bring you top coaches from around the world. Today we have two incredible coaches. Let me introduce you. Lila Veronica is a speaker, business movement coach, and podcast host. Boy, Sifu's got his words all tied up today. Podcast podcast host. Lila personally mentors business owners and organizational leaders to their own value in the marketplace and clear blocks in their way of getting success to their success. Lila loves helping her clients innovate ways of radically growing their revenue and increase their global impact while staying fit and healthy along the way. One of the things that I love about her is that she's got a Chihuahua. And Lila, would you mind telling us your Chihuahua's name because it's awesome?
I love it because I don't know if you recognize right before we hopped on live, I was letting him in and out. I call him the CEO, Speedy Gonzalez.
I
love it. Totally love it. Let me ask you a question. Does your Chihuahua one of those that has to get the last word in? Like when you say, be quiet, and it goes, like it has to get the last word in no matter what you say. Does your Chihuahua do that?
Oh yeah, and he does it in a gentle sneeze form.
Okay. Like, did I do that out loud? You know, they're just awesome.
Lila, we'd love to hear, how you make an impact, not only in the world, because you serve on the board of directors for an organization that feeds families in some of the poorest neighborhoods in Denver, Colorado. You practice yoga, and we talked about Speedy, right? And you love spending times outdoors in your small mountain town. So help us understand how you make this incredible journey into helping people really be the best they can be.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this series forward. I really believe that every single person is a hero in their own life. I have a spiritual mentor who says the hero's journey story is a galactic template written into our DNA. Everybody loves a good comeback story. Everybody loves a good Rudy story. If you've ever seen that movie, Rudy, everybody, all of the superhero stories, right, that people love out there, all of the comic books, all of the books, people love that. And the reason is because it's written into our DNA, I believe. We come here to journey, and we have, it's like a cycle we go through. And once we get older, we start to realize it, right? The older you get, the more you look back and you start to see cycles. You're like, oh, this is just the human journey. And so I'm really grateful for this series because you mentioned that I serve on the board of directors for an organization that feeds families. The reason is because I've gone through my own hero's journey, story and experience, and I'm continuing to. But a big part was growing up poor, right? Single mom, had to live off of government food. My father was a homeless man in New York City, so he wasn't adding any sort of help with the feeding his little ones, And I've created a lot of wealth for myself and a lot of freedom and a lot of health for myself. I've really shifted my life and been able to really open up my experience, and I'll share how. It's really through embodiment, and that's why I love what you do too, because you teach growth through body. I watched one of your videos today, these simple poses, and you were really getting yourself in this place of equilibrium, it looked like. And that's what I've learned is like how to get myself in equilibrium so that I can embody wealth, health, prosperity, love, all of that. And that's what I help my clients do. And I do it through speaking and coaching and podcast hosting and basically, retreats, events, all of that. I talk for a living. I teach for a living. I learn and teach, and I learn and teach. I used to be in academia. So the reason I do what I do is actually because I have a very strong mind. I'm highly intellectual and I love information. I've had a lot of information come into me over the years. I have a lot of letters behind my name. There's no need to really even go into them because it's really not the essence of who I am. I used to overthink. And I know a lot of people do that. That's, I believe, the problem in our world is overthinking. And so we're talking about roadblocks today, right? And so for my own hero's journey, it's been from trying to figure everything out to living the person I want to be or become. Sometimes I'm not there yet. I got to live that which I want to become. And that's why I surround myself with people like you guys right now, because it's helpful for, to see what's possible through mentors, colleagues, and just people who inspire me, And so that's been my journey of hero. It's like, how have I been able to really find joy? I've always done cool stuff. Most people have been like, you've always done what you want and you've had a good time. And the truth is, I've always done what I want. I'm kind of wired as a rebel. But I haven't always enjoyed it. I spent the first 34 years not. And it was just because I was overthinking. I grew up in an abusive home, poor, victim mentality. I didn't realize my thoughts. I didn't actually even know I had thoughts until I was 34. I remember the first conscious thought I had, and it was calling myself stupid. And that was the last thing that I was, of anything. I was not that. But what was going on was all the thinking, and everybody else saw me doing all this stuff, but I wasn't enjoying it. And that's a big part of what I do now. There's a lot of clients I work with, and friends even that I have, or people in my community that have really great lives and could have even better lives if they would learn how to enjoy it. Yeah. Right. And so that's a big part of what I do. How do they enjoy it and how they embody what they want to become? And that's what I've had to learn myself. And it's a subtle energy of feeling state that I have to choose. I think one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people in the personal development world are making is that they're only focusing on mindset and not the body piece, the feeling state piece, the visioning of the future, which I'll talk about in a second because it's like my special sauce. But if we're trying to fix the problem from where the problem's coming from only and staying neck up, it doesn't work. You still see people suffering. And you'll see that in a lot of, I think therapy is great. I've done therapy. I think it's great. But you'll see that in some therapy kind of paths where it's just so much head stuff that the body actually gets like re-traumatized or doesn't clear the trauma or can't see what's possible. And so my belief is that if you're kind of like somebody who's done mindset work and is familiar, it's so powerful, we need it. And pairing it with feeling state work. And I would argue feeling state work for the future vision is what most people are missing. They can't feel their future dreams. And if you're a business owner and you can't feel the feelings of your future clients after they're done working with you, that's the manifestation work. That's the strategy work. That's the stress reliever work. It's like be in that future vision of your clients, live that, what they want to get to, like in being state.
Oh yeah.
And that's how you attract people so easy.
Yeah. I definitely want to hear about special sauce. Okay. I love that you call it that. Because, when we think about certain foods even, right? When we add that little je ne sais, it adds extra to it, right? So it's about your special sauce and bring that forward.
I'll give it to you in the super simple steps. This is something I've worked on for a number of years and come into really just the essence of the work. What I would say is usually I'll just give you this because if you don't get it right away, if anybody's listening out there, it's okay. It just might take a little more time. If I were to work with somebody privately, we usually take about an hour to do this. Sometimes I speak on stages. It takes me 20 minutes maybe to get them into it. So I'm just going to give you the steps. So if you're going to do this by yourself at home later, give yourself some time. What it is most of the, the manifestation books, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, like all of that, it's in there, but nobody's practicing it because they don't want to feel their body. It's like this thing we forgot about. And so I'm bringing people back into the body. So the most successful people spend time feeling the feelings of your future vision, but not just you, what you're going to feel like, but what are the other people going to feel like too? So for example, I work with a lot of people who want to have more freedom and travel and up level their like home situation or move somewhere to the beach. Like it's a thing because I've moved around a lot. I've traveled a lot. I'm very mobile. So I attract a lot of people like that. So it's my job to spend time, not only in my experience of my future vision, feel it, feel the lake house, my next layer of expansion, when I'm on a boat and that splashes, little splashes of water on my face from Lake Erie and the wind and the music and the snacks on the boat. That's my job to feel that. And when I'm working with somebody or when I'm feeling my future people, imagine anybody being able to do that. Whatever that is for them, whether it be their new home, their upgraded home, their travel lifestyle, their beach house. I have a client right now who's taken all these photos of herself for branding by the beach because she's been able to move by the beach now. It's so beautiful. It's my job to feel that stuff. That time I spend doing that is more important than strategy. Marketing, sales, branding. I don't know what you got strategy-wise, but this piece is the special sauce. It's like the 0.0. Get there. And how do you do it? Time. Close your eyes, breathe, take yourself into your own experience into the future, and then take yourself into the feeling state of those people that you're also with and impacting and supporting. And here's what happens. Usually you'll shed a tear or cry. Because if you're somebody, especially who's like a service-oriented person, who's very heartfelt and loves helping people, you know what it's like when they get there. You already know. And it's like this divine opening. It's hard to explain until you're there. But if you're really that like service-hearted person, you love helping people, and you get there, you can't help but cry. Like I can even feel my eyes kind of wet, just like feeling it. And so that's the work. And the reason people don't want to do it is because that wet behind the eyes or the tears coming out, it's been told to us that that's not like professional. But that's the manifestation unlocking piece, and all the strategies will come from that space and work.
Definitely. And when you do the work,
may I ask a question, please?
Go for it.
What would you, if you were to say, let's say that someone has some hidden roadblocks that they don't even know that they have, but they're there, the little invisible devils in their life, if you will. What would be the top 3 things you would suggest for someone to maybe discover roadblocks that they may have in their lives that they don't even recognize are there, but they truly are there? What would be the top 3 things you would suggest for someone to help them go through that discovery?
Okay. Number 1, your breath. Because if you have a roadblock, it's all in your head. It's thinking. It's just thinking. You're not present. You're thinking about the past. You're thinking about the future. You're trying to figure something out. Like I said, I did before, and it doesn't work. It'll get you somewhere, but it's not enjoyable. So that's a roadblock.
Pardon me to interrupt. I thought when you said breath, I mean, I like reached for like a little mint here. I thought you were talking about me.
I'm going to tell you how.
I thought, man, this Zoom call.
That's important.
This Zoom has scratch and
important.
sniff.
The breath mint is important. It goes with it, right, Lila?
I asked the question. She said, your breath. And I said, man, I got to get like one of these or something like, and I was it something I said? Anyway, so there we go. Back. We're left for a little while. We're back now.
Luckily, we're virtual.
Yeah.
All right, EA?
Yeah. Close one.
So it's steady breath, inhale, exhale, like we forget to breathe because we're in air like fish are in water, and we're just in it. We forget. When we're holding our breath, we're blocking energy, we're blocking thoughts, we're blocking possibilities, opportunities, we're blocking what we can see. So breathing is the way to start. It brings awareness to the thoughts as well. It slows down the thoughts and it brings awareness to it. So that's the number 1 piece. If you're not breathing, you're not aware of your breath and you're breathing steadily, you're not present, and that can elevate you. It takes you out. If you're not present, you're blocking yourself. It just is what it is. Because if you're not with yourself right now, who is? You know? So it's breathing,
Yes.
breathing, breathing. And then the second piece is I teach a body system. And it's basically if the body is more open and in a receiving kind of, you know, calm, not guarded, or is the body more closed and tense and stressed? So if you learn your body, if you learn right now, I'll give you 1 point. Relax your belly button away from your spine. Just relax and let your jaw go. The back jaw, the back teeth part, belly button go. We've been told to suck it in. That's great for some, you know, parts of life. We don't need to be sucking that guard belly button thing in all the time though. Most of it's too tight. It's triggering, keeping the mind elevated, bringing the energy up, 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 and everything's tight down there. So if you're not breathing, you're not present, you're taking yourself out, you're roadblocking yourself. If your body is tight, especially that belly button's a good reference point. Relax, let it go some. Those are the two places that I would start. What that does is it slows your thoughts down enough that you can recognize them and observe them. So I would say the third piece is journal. Is journal those thoughts. You got to get them out. You got to see them. You got to be the witness of what's going on. And then from there, possibility is we can change all that. You know, we can breathe, we can soften, and we can think more positive thoughts. But until we get present and heighten the awareness, it's really hard to really see what's going on in the head. So that's the breath, soft body, then journal.
Now with journaling, because I'm a journaling fan. I mean, I have, literally 30 years worth of planners, and now it's all digital, but I literally have 30 books that were planners that, can find old phone numbers and everything else. So I'm an advocate of journaling. But for someone that hasn't journaled, that are just sort of shooting from the hip throughout the day and that kind of thing, what kind of advice would you give them to help them going and getting started? Because most people, they hear great teachings like what you're teaching now, but then they drop the ball when it comes to execution and implementation. And so how would you get them past that, that first step and saying, okay, what should I begin journaling and how should I do this? And because I think sometimes they get so complicated in their mind, they don't realize that it's way more simpler than they may be thinking it is. So could you sort of walk through some of our listeners for maybe that aren't journaling to understand it? I mean, journaling is very powerful, especially when we review it, we look at, going forward. So it becomes a part of our life. Could you sort of share some insights on that for us?
Yeah, I would love to share too. The reason it's so powerful, Eckhart Tolle talks about this in all of his literature. It's that bringing presence to everything, heightening the awareness is most of the work. So that's the reason journaling is so powerful, because once we have awareness, we have more choice. We're more empowered to stay there or not. No judgment, but whatever we want to, at least we know. Before, we're kind of a victim of circumstance. And so if you feel like you're a victim of circumstance, start journaling. Now I'm going to give you 2 ways to journal, because lots of different kinds of people, we could give more, but I will say if you're more of like a structured kind of person or more of free-flowing kind of person. So you might play with both even. If you're more free-flowing, what I would highly advise is journal in the morning early before you really do anything. Like maybe you need to get up and brush your teeth and do some, kind of self-care things, but then just write whatever's down right away. If you want to play with right away, you can even write down your dreams of what you were dreaming about, because that'll be insightful for your personal experience as well. And just kind of what's going on in your life, what's going on in your head, just like get it out. What you want to do with this though is consistency. If you're a free-flowing type, you need consistent free-flowing journaling really to start to see patterns over time and have more choice for yourself. So that would be the first thing. I would say do it every day. It doesn't matter if it's a word, just put the, or if you can spill down 20 pages, yes. It doesn't matter. Consistency with free-flowing. Now the other people, same thing, consistency I highly advise too, but you're probably not going to struggle with that as much. If you have more structured type of personality, what I would do is, this is the way I think about a lot of things in life. It's present, past, future. So what do? Where am I right now? What's going on today? Where am I right now? What's my mind, body, soul? What am I doing? Where am I today? Past, challenges. obstacles. What challenges am I having? What obstacles am I having? What's going on? Where am I that I want to shift? I want to get out of this place where I keep going to. So any sort of kind of past thing, challenges, obstacles that's getting in the way, where you want to go. And then future vision. Where do I want to be in the next 6 months? Where do I want to be in the next 12 months? Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? What's my, vision for my kids? Whatever, however long you want to go. So if you're a structured person, just start with, where am I now? What are my challenges? And where do I want to go?
Yeah, that's beautiful. When we think about journaling, it's just that. And I love the fact that you said, just put the word the, right? And put, just like me, you, my whatever, right? Anything you put down. And a lot of people will say, well, if I only put one word in, what do I put in tomorrow? A second word, right? So I love the fact that when we think about journaling, it truly is putting what's in our mind down, writing it down, because one of our past speakers talked about stories, and that's our story that we're putting down, our thoughts, our dreams. One day I was woken up at 3:40 in the morning with this incredible thought. I ran to my journal and wrote it down. I couldn't go back to sleep. I was so excited. And then I wrote a whole paper on it, basically, because that one dream gave me almost the whole book. And it was just incredible. And so journaling, it makes a huge difference. Thank you for that, Lila.
Yeah. I would love to just add the thing about if you, say you put the word the down, that even of itself is valuable to watch yourself just be able to put that down, that it's hard to share your stuff, even with yourself. That's valuable information, I believe, as a human to know about yourself. So all of it's valuable.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And for those of you that want to connect with Lila, we have we posted a few times in the chat her link. So follow her, connect with her, go to her website, and see how she can help you out with some of these great things she's just shared with us and removing some of those roadblocks.
Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, the gentleman that you spoke, that's EA. I had trouble with his name earlier, and it's just an E and an A. But he's done it, right? He can really teach you because he's done it. He's done it. He knows how to do it. EA has been in a room with 50 presidents of companies who have paid him $5,000 to learn from him, not once, multiple times, almost on a weekly basis. And, he's a person who's developed profits for scoring for companies based on what his mentor taught him, what he has learned from interviewing over 1,000 millionaires. So at one point, I'm going to put his booking session. You guys have a session with EA. I think it's good. Yeah, you can talk to us about it later on. I think he's going to give you a 12-minute session and so forth, where it just doesn't take a lot of time and you can actually talk to to me, he's a mentor and a friend. And EA, you're just an incredible human being. And thank you so much for being my co-host on this journey that we're on, Heroes Rising, where we're impacting lives through dynamic and amazing people like Lila and Leah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks. It's my pleasure. And I was so thankful that, I was blessed to be on your podcast, Raphael, and you always have great guests on there. And then you reached out to me, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this together. Thank you for reaching out for me. And I'll have more great things to say about you later on, because we're all members of the Mutual Admiration Society. But for sure. I've been very blessed because my business mentor I met at a very early age, and the things that I share with other people, I made up none of this. I didn't make up any of it. It was all taught to me by people a lot smarter than me. And just by listening to my mentor, I did nothing but listen to him and do what he said. And, at 23 was, I became a millionaire. And when I was 33, it was the first year I earned $1 million in salary. Now, that was not business money. That was after I paid all my taxes. In actual salary that year, I had $1 million in my pocket at 33 years old in 1989. Well, who knows how much that's worth now, right? And by the way, none of that was me. All I did was listen to what someone else was teaching me, someone who knew what they had done. And that's the difference between listening to someone who just knows the good stuff. I call them educated idiots. The ones that they have all the book knowledge and they can spew it at you, but zero implementation skills. They don't know, they can't teach you how to execute, right? And so I was very blessed with having a business mentor who taught me that. And trainings that Raphael mentioned, I had a radio talk show. I interviewed over 1,000 millionaires in 2 years time period. And the commonalities I was looking for on why were they millionaires and why do most people in their whole lifetime, if you add the average person's income together of their whole life, it's still not $1 million. And why are these people, what did they do differently? Right? And my business mentor, and when I learned these things, I began to teach them to business owners. And for 2 years, I taught business trainings at $5,000 per person and had 50 presidents of companies new every single month for 2 years solid. And just taught these trainings and taught them 410 ways to build their business.
Oof, that's a lot.
I'm very business oriented. And when I talk with people, I say, first you have to decide, you want to be a charity? If you want to be a charity, then money's not going to be as big of an issue. You're doing it because you love it, and that's a great thing. I'm very charity oriented. I believe in tithing. I believe in charity work. If you're going to be a business, then you need to be a business. And there's nothing wrong with earning profit because of extra value and high value you're providing. And most businesses, I find, are shocked when they are taught how much money they are losing, literally bleeding, because no one taught them what to do. It's just that simple. So we're going to do just a couple little things. I'm going to do just a little bit of a screen share here with everyone, to just a couple of slides. And give me one moment as I pull that up here for everyone.
Absolutely. He's always got great slides too. I can't wait. What are they going to be?
Loading. So give them in a second. Well, profitability is such an important thing, and people don't know it. It's like their work. As the saying goes, cliches are cliches because they're usually true. That's why they're cliches. Not always, but many times. And it's the old story about they're working so hard on the business of the king, they're not taking care of the king. And it's the same thing with businesses. I find that they lack the ability to be able to step back and look at, hey, where am I missing the boat here? All right. So I devised putting all together these 1,000 millionaires and what they taught me, what my business mentor taught me, and began to put together and sift it all the way down to literally a 12-minute conversation to give any business owner a profit score. What's your profit score? How are you doing on your profits? Not how much money are you bringing in. It's your profit that's going to end up in the bank after you pay all the bills. So literally a 12-minute conversation to develop and give them an actual profit score that I promise you they've never had before. And that's what these couple of slides are going to go in on together. So we're just going to touch on those right now. So 12-minute profit scoring, right? The first one is the problem. You're bleeding profits. You know that you're bleeding profits because when you look in your bank account and you put your head on your pillow at night and you quietly think your own thoughts, you see that your bank balance is not what you think it should be or what you want it to be. You're bleeding profits, but you don't know where. You just know you're working like crazy, but the bank account isn't reflecting it. What's going on? We have a solution. It's a 12-minute profit scoring phone call. Doesn't cost you anything. It's a Zoom call we will do together. I have very limited time, so we do this in 12 minutes. So literally, we'll start the call in 12 minutes, and at 12 minutes, I'm ending the Zoom call. That's it. That's all there's to it. But during those 12, I will ask 12 rapid-fire, very intense questions that most business owners go, And I said, you're just bleeding money. you're doing all these things, and you could set up a few certain things that would end all of this profit problem for you, but you're just not taking the time. You're too busy doing the business of the king, and you're not taking care of the king, and you're the king of your own business. And so I walk them through these 12 questions, most of which they've never been asked before, to help analyze where are they bleeding profits. And that's exactly what we do in a 12-minute phone call. So what happens at the end of 12 minutes? Well, they're going to know exactly why they are working so hard, and in the same time, their large available bank balance is not where they want it to be. I will be able to quantify it for them and give them an actual numerical score on what their profits are. So far, by the way, businesses I've done this for that have been in business for decades, not one of them has scored more than 50 out of 100. So much profit being just bled away. They don't even realize it's just going through their fingers. Do you know that every time you make $100, odds are $900 were missed? Every time you get 100, 900 were missed. And you had the opportunity right there. You just didn't know what to do, how to put it together. So that's the purpose of this call. So as I conclude here with this, I'm going to put a link in the chat. I'll put it in there a couple of times. I'm excited about introducing her next. And click on the Calendly link. It's a 12-minute. There's no cost. I do this as a way of playing it forward, because what's the use of learning all these things? I know what it's blessed me in business, but I know that I love the feeling and seeing the sense, sort of like what Lila just said, when you know that they get it and they go, oh my God. And they just, they've just realized the ways they're bleeding, but they haven't taken a look at it and did anything about it yet. So 12-minute profit score. If you're in business, you need to take a look at it. It's so critical. And by the way, do you know if you're an employee, you're also in business for yourself? That's right, because you're providing a valuable service for a fee. In your instance, you're just getting paid hourly or weekly. You still have your own business. You're providing a valuable service, and in exchange for that service, you're getting paid. And do you know that even employees have profit that they're bleeding, that they don't even realize it until they look at it? So if you're working so much hard, every time you get 100, why not make that 1,000 with the same effort? Because you're bleeding 900 statistically. And 12 minutes to find out the score, absolutely free. Love to be able to share it with you. So thank you for the opportunity to be able to share that with everyone. And it's called the 12-minute profit scoring, which I pray that you do it, because I find that businesses, it's quite eye-opening when they realize it doesn't take any extra effort. It just takes knowing what to do by someone who has done it before, and to walk you through that process. And it's very exciting to be able to do that. And so with that, thank you for allowing me to be able to share that. And now it gives me great opportunity. That's it. Did I just get that from you today, Raphael?
Yeah.
I've got.
You're welcome.
Here I am, and I have to think for a minute that I'm supposed to use Mr. Tongue and Mr. Lip together in unison, and then they form words. Okay, so.
You're very welcome, by the way. And by the way, you're so charming. It doesn't matter what you say. It just comes out great. So thank you.
That was, you know what? You've got about 3 hours to cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So thank you so much for the kind words. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Leah Forney, and hopefully I said that right. With last name Solkovitz, please feel free to correct me, because I'm used to correcting people on last name. But Leah does some amazing things. First of all, she helps you increase your audience attraction. Now, we have all different kinds of audiences in our life, and Leah's going to help. She's going to help us break that down a little bit. And how do we increase that audience so that we can broadcast out to those that we want to, and help us achieve our dreams? And also, she has something very interesting that she covers on, when we have pain in our life and moments of pain, we can transform those into something very useful and help transform them into our purpose. So Leah's a specialist in transforming pain into purpose. So Leah, with that, welcome to Heroes Rising with my fantastic and amazing co-host, Rafael Gomez. And please, Leah, share with us some incredible, amazing insights for all of our listeners.
Well, thank you guys for having me. First of all, this has been amazing. I'm sitting here like, I don't want to be looking like I'm writing down notes. So thank you, Rafael, that we'll get the replay. 'Cause this was so good. But yeah, so I really want to touch on the transforming your pain into purpose before I dive into the audience piece. I am a firm believer that pain does have purpose. And so my backstory is I am actually the daughter of two addicts. So a lot like Layla, I grew up being raised by my grandparents. I grew up in New York City. That's where me and Rafael got the connection from. And I struggled with the feelings around abandonment and rejection and feeling wanted and enough and all these things. And so it channeled into a lot of anger as a young girl, right? I was just angry. So I found myself always in confrontation, always into these fights, right? Just to get it out. And so how I began to really channel that anger was through writing, right? Never did I ever think I would pen a book. That I will tell you. But I always found myself sitting down writing what I was feeling, getting it out. So when Layla talked about that journaling, I'm like dead on, like, yes. Like, because I spent a lot of my childhood, that's what I did. I focused on really getting those emotions out and really allowing myself to process what I was feeling. But what I didn't know was that writing was also my way to escape my reality and kind of create this little fantasy world. So growing up in the part of Queens, New York that I grew up in, a lot of my friends had two-parent households. So when they would ask about my parents, I had this elaborate story like my dad was a CIA agent on some top secret mission because I didn't really want to deal with the reality that I was the daughter of two addicts. So as a young girl, I made a decision that I wasn't going to allow what I was going through, my circumstances, to define me. Right. I knew that if I could get on the other side of my pain, I would discover purpose. Right. And so that's how I entered in the book writing space and the coaching space. And now I help aspiring authors really figure out this piece around audience, because what I had learned as a author and just working with aspiring authors, when I would ask them, who's your audience? Who are you trying to reach with your message or your book or your service? It would be crickets. They would either not know or they were so broad in it, right? So it was either I don't know who I'm trying to reach, or they would say stuff to me like a woman. Well, what kind of woman, right? Are we talking single women? Are we talking married women, right? So they would be so broad. And so what I learned was that in order to really attract the right audience, it really requires you to build this avatar, what we call, and it really requires you to dive into those demographics and those psychographics that make the effective avatar that you need in order to reach the audience you want to reach. So that's what my presentation is going to be on today.
That's awesome. Writing stories that you kind of like needed to write a story for yourself in order to deal with your circumstances. And then you realize that you had a talent. So kudos to you for realizing that. So many people go through stories like what you went through, but they didn't find that gift that we all have, that you found. So I'm so happy you did. How many books have you written now?
Oh my God. So I have 7. I since the last time we talked, Raphael, I'm working on the 8th. I just keep writing.
Nice.
So
Right. And what motivated you to help other people who could find their way to their...
I think what helped me was the repeated questions, right? So as I was on my own journey of writing and publishing books, a lot of times I would have aspiring authors say to me, I want to write a book, and then the challenge would be 1 or 2 things I would ask. 1, what is your overall message, right? What is the message? What is the theme of the book? And then 2, who are you trying to reach with this message? And I found that they were always stuck in that place. It was always either I don't really know what my message is, or I don't really know who I want to reach. So after going through that own process for myself and really honing in on my own avatar, right? I really realized this was a niche for me when I taught it at a writers conference. And so many people were like, oh my God, this is it. This is the missing link for me, because I had no clue that I needed to know specifically who I was trying to reach. And so how I've helped simplify that for them is to not think of a group of people, but think of one person. Because when you can think of one person that needs what you have, you can kind of duplicate the one.
Yeah, yeah. So what has inspired you to write more than one book? Because you and I, we talked about it on my podcast. Your
Mm-hmm.
first book was inspired from everything you were going through.
Yeah.
But then along the way, what were your inspirations and how do you help someone else find their inspiration?
Yeah. So I think life in general for me is inspirational, right? I can find inspiration in the simplest things, taking a walk. I can find something that inspires me. Um, for me, how I got into writing multiple books, I'm a very spiritual person. And so a lot of times things come to me, like you guys were mentioning, like in a dream. I can be sleeping and something comes to me, or just praying and something is revealed to me. And so usually I tell people how I know it's the book that I need to write is how it's revealed to me. So usually if I get a book and it's just the title, it's kind of like, okay, so what am I supposed to do with that? But if the spirit reveals the title, the chapters, I'm like, okay, this is the book you really want, because you're kind of already giving me the formula of what I need to write about. So because I'm a nonfiction writer, I dive into personal experiences. And so one of the things that people always ask when they're writing books about their life is, how do you decide, what experiences to talk about and what not? And so what I tell them to do is mind map it, right? Create a mind map, figure out what your overall message is, and then really like divide it up into what experiences fit that message versus what experiences is like, we could probably throw them in there somewhere. And then the experiences that totally have nothing to do with what it is that you're talking about. Because from the mind map is really where you can begin to develop that outline you need to actually start writing the book.
I love the mind map when we think about that because that's everything, right?
Yeah.
It's what's on our mind. It's our thoughts, and it's that journaling that can help you start to write a book,
Yeah.
right? What is the one or three things that you would be able to help someone who is willing to and be vulnerable to write either their story
Mm-hmm.
or a story that they've seen or heard of?
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to me when I think of that is, and this is something I say to my clients, is when you're writing from personal experiences, have you made peace with your pain? Right? Like, have you really came to that place where what you are willing to share is no longer emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually impacting you? And the reason why that's so important is because if you have an opportunity like this to stand in front of people and share that story, your audience can tell when you're faking it. They can tell when you're still struggling with it, right? So the first thing I would say is make sure that you've been on your own healing journey to make peace with that pain. The second thing I would say is ask yourself why. And not just say, well, why do I want to write the book? Like, really dive into that why. They say that you should ask yourself why 5 times, right? Really dive into why writing this book is so important to you. Why is it so important to tell this story? What is it about this story that you feel like the world needs to read and hear, right? Really dive into that, because the why in itself is going to be the motivation you need to stay focused in those moments where writer's block come, where the distractions come. You're going to need that why. And then the third thing I would say is just do it. Do it with the fear. I hear it all the time. People say, oh, I'm terrified. I don't know if I want to be transparent. And do it afraid. Because here's what I have learned. When you go on this writing journey, yes, we share our stories for people, but it's the transformation that happens to the writer. that means so much, because you get this sense of confidence, right? When you finally go from the thought in your head to that book in your hand, it's a major accomplishment that makes you feel like, wow, I actually did this. And then you think about that journey and how you went from being so afraid and so timid to now I'm confident. And then you take that confidence and it makes you want to try other things that you may have been afraid to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, with technology nowadays,
Yeah.
there's so many things that we can use. For example, if we and people talk about writer's block, there really is no writer's block because it's in here. We have it in our head. The
Yeah.
problem is putting it to paper. So maybe record yourself saying it, because sometimes I hear people talking all the time and they're telling their story. But when I say write that down, they're like, I don't know how to write it down. Well, record it. And then you can there's so many transcribing tools on the internet now. Subscribe to one of them and transcribe your words. And then there's how I believe this is also good for journaling. If you don't know how to journal, just record yourself, right? And then you can transcribe it and then create your online journal, right? There's also some, and I know you know this because obviously you're a writer, but I also do it for myself. There's platforms that you can go and they say, you know, you have to write 750 words today, and they give you a kind of a good way of doing it. And it doesn't matter, like Lila was talking about before, just write the word the, right? You can start with that. Start with one word. One becomes two, two becomes three, you know, and so on and so on. So, Leah, your books, the titles, I love them. And when you tell me the titles, they're just fascinating. And the way you tell me you receive the message, because it's in prayer,
Yeah.
most of the time that you receive these messages in your prayer, and the titles come to you. Share with us a few titles if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I'll just go from books 1, 2, and 3. So book
Or
one
go
was
for it.
entitled Unapologetically Me,
Mm.
Living, Owning, and Walking in My Truth. Book two is entitled The Courage to Win, Finding the Winner Within. And book three was entitled Defining Moments, From Tragedy to Triumph to Destiny.
Wow, amazing stuff. So one of the things that you talk about is finding your truth. And I think that's what we're all here for, right?
Yeah.
To find our truths. What I'd love to do is have anyone in the audience ask questions either to yourself or Lila or EA as well. And this way we can have an open conversation and help someone out. And everybody who's on with us can definitely ask a question. And if you don't want to ask it here, reach out to any one of us. And I know we're all givers because we know EA, he's with Givers University. And we all like to share, and we all make an impact in not only our world, but the world in general. Because we all live in our own little world, but we all share this big, beautiful world together as well. EA, what are your thoughts on all this stuff? This is amazing stuff, Leah. Thank you.
I had to unmute myself for a second. Sorry there. I was sparing everyone the landscaper leaf blower. You know, I think I was joking earlier. I think they, took off the 4 leaf blowing machines, put them on high, and set them outside my window right now. So,
Yeah. So
but we're
you
doing
have to
good.
put a thing on your window, big sign, say "Leave me alone"
Yeah,
or "Leave
exactly
now."
right.
Leave now.
Exactly right. Exactly now. Exactly. So I've been sharing everyone that. I actually a question I have for Leah. Leah, if we've put in the chat ways for people can contact you, as we have with Lila as well, and multiple times. So everyone we recommend, and Raphael does the screening, if you will, of speakers and guest speakers that we have, and if he feels they're not going to bring quality to the show, he quite candidly doesn't have them on the show. So the fact that they're on the show is just proof that they are value-based people and want to give to you. So check the chat out, and both of their websites are on there. Please feel free to contact them, and just follow them. I mean, even if you have anything to discuss right now, start the relationship. Just check out their website, check out Leah's books, or 7 and soon to be 8, and check out some of the things that Lila teaches, and just start to connect. Look for them on LinkedIn. Are both of you on LinkedIn, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, so they're both on LinkedIn. Great way to connect there. Also, check out their websites as per the chat, which we went to. So, Leah, I have a question for you, if you could, Leah. If someone is experiencing pain in their life, what would you say are the top 3 questions, or the first 3 questions they could ask themselves? Because it's true, I believe, that life is not about the answers, it's about the questions. And when we ask the right questions, we'll always get the right answers. People just ask the wrong questions all the time, and they're surprised when they get the wrong answer. It's the answer they asked for. Why should you be surprised? So if you were to share with the insights, Leah, and God bless you for the experiences you've had and risen above them. If I had a hat on right now, I'd be, first of all, to both of you, as a matter of fact. I love comeback stories, and people that have risen and said, I'm not going to play a victim, and I'm not going to go wah into the sunset, but I'm going to build on this and use these as stepping stones to go forward. And both of you have clearly done that. Raphael, I don't know if he has. Everything he touches turns to gold. Anyway,
Are you calling me Midas? Are you calling me Midas?
That's right, King Raphael. He's the king of his own business. So Leah, if you could, what would be the first 3 questions someone should ask themselves if they have pain in their life right now that can help them begin to get off of first base and start moving towards second with their life and turning that into purpose? What would be those 3 questions you'd share?
Yeah, that's good. So I think what's coming to me, the first thing is really diving into the root. Like, where is this pain coming from? Because I can say for myself, a lot of my painful experiences really started in childhood, right? With those feelings of abandonment and rejection and not feeling good enough because of who my parents were. And so that was the beginning of where that pain really started to take root. So I would say start with where it's coming from. Like, I acknowledge the root of that pain and where that's coming from. The second question I would say is, now that you've acknowledged it, what do you want to do about it? And I say that because a lot of times what happens is, and I say this with my friends, we all can say that we've experienced trauma, right? We've had all different types of trauma, some severe, some not severe, right? It's what you do with the trauma that matters, right? So now that you've acknowledged that you're in this painful place and you've kind of acknowledged the root of it, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to allow this painful moment in your life to be the catalyst to keep you stuck? Or do you want to use that as the catalyst to push you forward, right? Because I do believe that there's another side to pain. But what happens for many of us is we get stuck in the pain that we never push forward, right? So then once you've identified what it is that you want to do with it, then you have to ask yourself, are you really ready for this journey? Because here's what I know about healing. Healing is like having open heart surgery with no anesthesia. You're going to have to feel it. You're going to have to feel those emotions. You're going to have to feel the intensity of the emotions. So are you really ready to take this journey? And then if you are really ready to take this journey, then what can you start to implement or put in place now, whether it be therapy, whether it be a support group, whether it be your prayer life, journaling, whatever. What is it that you can now start to put in place to help you on this new journey to getting on the other side of your pain?
But you have to experience pain, right? You do. And, someone who has experienced pain a lot, I know exactly where you're coming from. But one of the things that I've been told is that, why do you keep going? Why do you keep going? Because what are the alternatives, right? So you bring up a great point. You need to feel the pain. And when I'm I'm training someone and they're feeling pain. I'm like, look at that, you're alive. Congratulations. So pain allows us to feel either love for ourselves or for others. It's how you deal with that pain, right? All right. I think that if anybody has any questions,
If I can interject for a second.
absolutely.
Yep, for our listeners, again, Leah and Lila, thank you so much for being on our show. Such valuable information. And contact both of them, follow both of them, connect. Their links are in the chat. Raphael, if you'd be kind enough to put yours in there too, because I think when I introduce you, there's going to be some people, and when they hear what you can share, they'll want to contact you. So if you could please put that in. And for your listeners, if you haven't seen Raphael's workouts, let me tell you, I love working out. I mean, I'm a workout fanatic, and I got to tell you, he takes it to a whole nother level. I mean, his workouts are great. He does an excellent explanation of them. He posts them a lot of times. Usually those are posted on LinkedIn, aren't they, Raphael?
LinkedIn and Facebook. Yeah.
LinkedIn, yeah. And so Raphael's a coach. He's a fitness coach. He's a martial arts expert and coach and instructor. And when you want to talk about discipline, because so many people don't realize that there's joy in discipline. Discipline doesn't have to be, we think about discipline as a child. Oh, I'm getting a spanking. That's discipline. But actually, there's great joy in discipline and having a disciplined life. And part of this, having a disciplined mind. And I have to say, I'm very impressed, and I'm not a person that's impressed easy. I have to say that genuinely. That Raphael has a genuine high degree of self-discipline and can teach you. If anyone can teach you, he's the guy that's done it. If you want mental self-discipline, if there's something you want to do and there's something that's sort of holding you back or you're not consistent, Raphael will take you through there. So Raphael, could you share with us, our listeners, a little bit about some of the coaching you do, also the importance of the disciplined mind, because that's really where you come from, my friend.
I appreciate that. Growing up, there was lack of discipline because I didn't live with my parents. I was thrown around a little bit myself, and I am so disciplined. A lot of people used to ask me if I was in the military, but I was never in the military. So it's focusing on what you want and going for it is what's going to help you understand who you are and what you have to do. Now, I talked earlier with Leah about pain, right? I've had injuries that were not by choice. I've fallen from heights. I'm not afraid of heights. I was in a coma. I was still not afraid of heights, and I fell from a height. It's the challenges that we are faced with on a daily basis. It's how we attack them. That's the mindset that sets us apart from everyone else. We all have 24 hours in a day. It's what you do with it, right? Lila, she's doing yoga. She's helping people. She's helping feed those people in terrible neighborhoods. We all take what we have and we can either cry about it, like EA said, or we can do something about it. What I've chosen to do with my life is live it the way I want to live it. And this is how I teach people to live their life. Listen, we only have one life that I know of. If I can live another one, let me know, I will. But I've lived so many lives, if you think about it, because every day I get a chance to change what I did yesterday. And I teach people how to do that because it's the mindset, it's that leadership. For me to tell someone, hey, do 10 push-ups, and me not doing them, what am I doing? I'm not teaching you anything if I can't show it to you. So for me, leadership comes from doing, understanding. Also, that's why coaching to me is so important. That's why I started Coaching Call. And a lot of people say, that you're not going to make money on it. Guess what? I haven't. I have not made a penny on my Coaching Call because that was not the purpose. The purpose was to bring all these incredible people. I have 3 incredible people who are on my podcast spending time with me today. My God, how fortunate am I? That's the real gold. Your time, Leah, your time, Lila, your time, EA, your time that you're spending with me, that's more than anyone can pay me for. That's the most value we have. You know, you can take all the material things that you have, but you can't take them with you when you go to the other side at all. So let's figure out who we are, what we're about, and what's the difference we can make in our lives, but most importantly, in the lives of those around us. We learn from everyone. Everyone who's ever done me wrong, thank you. You've taught me great lessons. I appreciate you. I pray for you. You are wonderful. I hope you don't teach anyone those lessons besides me. I hope I was the only one you taught those lessons to. But those were lessons that propelled me to be a better person. And we have to take everything that comes at us, and we have to be able to understand. If someone is trying to hurt me, don't try to hurt them back. Understand where they're coming from, and that will give you growth. Now, get out of the way if you can. Don't stay there, right? Don't be a martyr. But you need to be able to understand everything that happens in life. You know, we had Jose on the other day, and he talked about our routines, our morning and evening routines. Before I knew Jose, I've been doing those my whole life. Because for me, journaling and knowing what I'm going to do the next day, a week from now, a month from now, 10 years from now. When we started, ladies, I told you what my plan is, right? I live in New York. Within 4.5 to 5 years, I'm going to have a house in Arizona because I love the heat. I'm Colombian. I like the heat. So having those plans, setting the steps, planning is great. Action is what puts those plans into full gear. So anytime you want to have a conversation with me, and listen, for me, it's not about the money. It's about the experience. I can't take the money with me, right? Give me a full room of here we go again, a room full of money, right? Yeah, I'm gonna make these things work.
Yeah.
A room full of money, or give me a room full of love. I will take love any day. Because love will touch me way deeper than money can. So with that, I give you me. Everything that I can give, I will give. I hope that helps anyone who is listening, who wants to change their outlook. Leadership comes from within. You're a leader. I'm a leader. We're all leaders. But sometimes we don't know, and EA talked about it. Implementation is what's going to make us a great leader. We need to know how to implement. Take the action steps. That's important. Help someone with their journey so that your journey becomes more. I'm here to help. Let me know how I can help you.
To all our listeners, thank you so much for being a part of our great show. Our next one will be in December. And again, Leah and Lila, God bless you both. And Raphael, my super duper, fantastic, amazing friend who is truly giver Raphael. And all our listeners, please have your best day ever. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing, blessed day. All right.